Hey guys, what's going on? Thanks for joining me once again. So obviously it's been quite a delay since my last video, and some of you know the reason for that. It's because I've been traveling recently. So I went on a holiday, basically traveling to three countries, Norway, Finland, and England. It was an amazing trip, and I managed to fit in a lot of sightseeing, of various points of interest, nature, and also attended Steelfest in Finland, which was amazing, and met some people who I'd only known online before. You know who you are. It was great to meet those guys and a lot of new people. So I had a lot of great experiences traveling, but that's the reason for the delay basically. So that's why there's been somewhat of a hiatus, but I'm ready to get back into it. Now, one person I know said they would be interested in me doing a review of Steelfest. If that interests people, let me know, but I'm not going to talk about that today. What I'm actually doing today is catching up on a collection update. This is one that some CDs I picked up before I went away, but I was so busy getting organized for the trip, I didn't get around to doing that video then, so that's what I'm going to do today. So this video is another edition of bargain bin buys, so secondhand CDs I bought at a local shop, just various titles which caught my interest, completely random, so that's what we're doing today. 7 CDs to talk about, and as usual I'm going to try not to talk in too much detail because, as always, you can listen to the music and let the music speak for itself. So anyway, let's get into it. So the first CD I'm going to talk about, this is one actually that my brother gave me, so I didn't buy this one, but still secondhand. So this is Gravedigger with The Last Supper. And my brother gave me this because he already had a copy of it actually, so that was nice of him. Just show you the disc here. Yep, so Gravedigger are a band which probably need no introduction. It's sort of heavy / power metal from Germany, and this band's been around since the 1980s. This album came out in 2005, so one of their later albums, you could say. But I really like this. It's just really well produced, epic, heavy / power metal. The production is just brilliant. Everything's clean, clear, epic, and it sounds really heavy. And a lot of songs are very kind of anthemic. So if you're a fan of, basically, usual regular heavy metal, yeah, you'll definitely like this band. I will say, in a way, this album is a little bit generic, perhaps, but that's not a problem to me because, for 2 reasons. One, this band's been around since the 1980s, so they helped to forge that sound. And 2, for me, it doesn't matter. Like, music doesn't always have to be completely original. As long as it's a style that I like and it's done well, then I'll enjoy it. So, just show you the booklet here. Yeah, it's a really intricate booklet with lyrics clearly read. So, The Last Supper, it's obviously a theme based around Jesus Christ. I haven't gone too much into the lyrics though. Like, I mean, obviously it's not in a Christian way, but just talking about that particular theme. But I haven't paid too much attention to the lyrics. The whole album is great. I just, what was one song which really stood out to me? Track 4, which is Grave in the No Man's Land. And that is a song which, like some other songs on the album, it features this kind of, while it's power metal, heavy metal, it also features a kind of thrash metal element too. Like I think of the riffing style is somewhat reminiscent of early 90s Metallica and Megadeth, particularly Countdown to Extinction. So it's got that kind of heavier crunch to it while retaining that heavy metal, power metal sound. But really good, great anthemic choruses, and as I said, it's well produced. So if you just like your traditional heavy metal with a more sort of like modern, heavy, epic edge, then I'd definitely check this out. So that's Gravedigger with The Last Supper, and pretty cool cover art. Okay. So the rest of the albums I'm talking about, these are ones I bought at the local shop, just ones I randomly picked up. So if you follow my Instagram, you'll see I shared this one the other day. This is Iced Earth with Night of the Storm Rider. So again, Iced Earth are a band which need no introduction. Traditional heavy metal, again, sort of with power metal elements again. I've got a couple of their albums which I haven't got around to talking to yet, but yeah, I really like this band. It is also a band which, while it's traditional heavy metal, they delve into other styles. Like sometimes there's elements of thrash metal and speed metal, but really, really good. I think of all the albums I've heard by them, which are not many, I have to admit, this one is my favorite. Like just so many breakdowns and interesting time changes, and they just really excel at what they do in terms of delivering quality heavy metal. Yeah, like those tracks like track 2, Storm Rider and The Path I Choose, just so many interesting twists and turns in those songs, and they also have that kind of Iron Maiden sound. It's a whole mixture of different elements of heavy metal, but really interesting, really well produced, and delivered with quality. So if you like traditional heavy metal, yeah, definitely check this band out if you haven't, and this album is really good. I'll just show you the disc here, and booklet. So it's got all the lyrics laid out. Yep, nice and readable. Yeah, and I know this band has become somewhat controversial in light of John Schaefer's, political activities, but once again, I'm not interested in that. I'm just interested in the band's music. So that's the most important thing, and if you like quality heavy metal, I definitely recommend this. Really great album. So Iced Earth with Night of the Storm Rider. Okay, now you'll see this collection update is pretty eclectic. There's a few different styles. So next one, another band which needs no introduction. Had to get this. Whitesnake with the best of Whitesnake. So yeah, Whitesnake, one of those heavy metal bands that's been around for a while, since the 1980s, formed off the back of Deep Purple, with David Coverdale and everything, having been involved in Deep Purple. But yeah, really great band. I had a friend back in Australia who said he always thought that Whitesnake was a Led Zeppelin ripoff. Yeah, maybe to a degree, but I think it's different at the same time because they incorporate elements of glam metal and hard rock. It's not as classic or traditional as Led Zeppelin, but anyway, really great vocals from David Coverdale, great musicianship. What I like about this band is it's hard rock, but they invoke so much atmosphere with the instrumentation. Like some songs, it's just really, really atmospheric, and I love it. And everyone knows the famous songs by this band, like probably the most famous one is Here I Go Again. What I like about this compilation is it doesn't start with that song, it's actually at the end. Yeah, Here I Go Again, it is a good song, but to me the chorus is slightly depressing, like, if you know what I mean. But yeah, this has got 17 tracks, all really good. I don't dislike any tracks on this album, and I discovered a lot of new ones through this. Like, yeah, it's just a good starting point, a greatest hits album. Like, I did know a lot of songs, but some I really like. Fool for Your Loving, Don't Break My Heart Again. Is This Love is one of my favorite Whitesnake songs, and that's what I'm talking about with the, clean guitars invoking that great atmosphere. Yeah, Would I Lie to You is good. Guilty of Love. Oh, yeah, I mean, I could just read all the tracks out here. They're all really good. What was one that I heard recently, which I really enjoyed? Yeah, Ain't No Love in the Heart of the City, and also Give Me More Time. And it finishes with Still of the Night, which is also another great track. That breakdown in the middle was that kind of march, but really awesome instrumentation, awesome vocals. Whitesnake are a fantastic band. Never seen them live, but I would like to. But if you're not familiar with them, or you would just like an interesting starting point for this band, this would be a good one. They have a few greatest hits albums out, but the way this one is arranged, I think it's the most interesting. So just show you the disc here. Cool. And yeah, they've got a little history, biography of the band. Yeah, but very influential band, obviously influenced a generation of hair metal musicians and other bands. But yeah, I really like this band, and I've found myself listening to this quite a lot. So it's my sort of morning background music, but I'm always singing along. So that's Best of Whitesnake. Okay. Now, you'll see what I mean by this update being eclectic. Up next, this one is kind of a nostalgia trip for me, this album here. This is Ugly Kid Joe with America's Least Wanted. So, blast from the past, right? So yeah, when I saw this, I thought, oh, this is total nostalgia. It reminds me of 1993. The way I discovered this band. At that time, my friends and I, we already liked, thrash metal and death metal. It was sort of like that, those influential years. But one of the aforementioned friends' younger brother, he always used to buy music that was famous or popular on the charts at the time, so he bought this one. He wasn't really a metal fan, but I remember when I used to go over to their house, I always saw this CD and I was intrigued by the cover and the lyrics. Then we started listening to it and I actually really enjoyed it. So if you're not familiar, how would you describe Ugly Kid Joe? They're kind of, I suppose you would say, a heavy metal band, but not like Judas Priest, Iron Maiden. It's more sort of, for that time, modern heavy metal, sort of like, it was an extension of the 80s, but it had that early 90s fresh sound as well. And yeah, you can see like in songs, what's that song called? Same Side, like they incorporate some funk, showing that sort of modern edge to it. But yeah, really like this band. they've often also been called comedy metal because of the lyrical content, and you know, some of the titles aren't serious, but that's good. We shouldn't be serious all the time, in my opinion. But yeah, it's sort of like an 80s heavy metal sound with a fresh, injected with a fresh 90s sound. Whitfield Crane has a great voice, just this great, excellent, clean sort of striking vocals, I find, and it's just a very fun, catchy album. So back in the day when I liked this, I only listened to a handful of tracks, and now I actually appreciate it a lot more. And to be honest, I enjoyed this a lot more than I expected to, and it's one of the ones I just keep finding myself listening to. So really good. So here, just showing you the CD, and it's got the booklet with all of the lyrics. You don't really need the lyrics because, photo of the band there, because they're all intelligible anyway. And then photo of the band Scoffing Junk Food. I always liked that when I was younger. But yeah, just a really fun album of kind of modern edge heavy metal. So many great tracks, like Neighbor is a fun track, really funny lyrics in that about this slob who moves in next door to ruin someone's life. Goddamn Devil is really good as well. The lyrics are a bit cheesy, but again, the music and the atmosphere is great. That also features backing vocals from Rob Halford. Yeah, and so many songs which I'm now appreciating more, like Come Tomorrow. Panhandlin' Prince is one of my favorite tracks, actually. That's actually a really good morning song for me. And it's funny, in that song they say, "Hey Mr. Trump, can I ask you a question? I don't know, can you spare $1 million?" Because this is a reference to when Donald Trump was obviously just an entrepreneur, you know, before being president. Also, Busy Bee is a great song, kind of country influence in that, with some clean guitars. Yeah, So Damn Cool is another good one. It also features, of course, the famous hit from this was Cats in the Cradle. The original was great. This cover is fantastic too, just nice clean guitars and atmosphere. The only song I don't like on this album really is Everything About You, which was the other hit. There's nothing terrible about that song, but it's a bit one of those like annoyingly catchy radio-friendly songs. But then again, I'd much prefer to hear that song than some modern pop which makes my ears bleed, you know? So, yeah, and everything... Oh yeah, that's the only other gripe I have with this album is at the beginning of some songs like Goddamn Devil and Everything About You, there's this annoying female voice like ranting and raving, and it just sounds really irritating, and I wish they would just cut that out, but it's a minor thing. Madman is a great track. That was one of my favorite ones. Just like catchy vocals, catchy riffing, everything. And then it finishes with Mr. Record Man, which is an acoustic song with a kind of country influence, and I think it was actually the guitarist Klaus who did the lead vocals in that song. But that's Mr. Record Man might be my favorite song, actually. It's kind of like a B-side song, but it's really good. But yeah, if you just want some fun, catchy, clean, so-called modern edge heavy metal, and you don't take things too seriously, check it out. So Ugly Kid Joe with America's Least Wanted. As I said, that's just a blast from the past for me, and it was great to return to this album. All right. Okay, a few more. I'm getting through this faster than I thought, which is good. I also picked up this. This is Children of Bodom with Skeletons in the Closet. Now, this is just a great fun album. So what it is, it's a covers album. So Children of Bodom, of course, are doing interpretations of a song with their unique style, you know, which is, how would you describe it, symphonic black metal meets melodic death metal meets power metal meets Yngwie Malmsteen-esque guitar wizardry. That's how they apply that formula to these covers, and I have to say, pretty much all of the cover choices are really good. I like the original versions by, you know, the original bands. Just let's get the ones I don't like out of the way. Like, they did a joke cover of Oops, I Did It Again by Britney Spears, and like, yeah, that's kind of, no, not one of my favorites. And then there was a couple of songs which I hadn't heard before, like Hell Is for Children by Pat Benatar, which was good. Also, just dropped in to see what condition my condition was in. Yeah, those songs I didn't know, but those covers are really good. They also do a cover of Antisocial, which is the Anthrax cover of another band. I've never really been a huge fan of Antisocial, that song. I just find it's okay, but not that interesting to me. But you look at the other collection of songs, it's really eclectic, and they make these songs sound like their own with their unique style. Like, they start with Looking Out My Back Door by originally by Creedence Clearwater Revival. You know, it's a sped up version, and at first I thought, oh, that sounds cheesy as fuck, but it's actually really good. Then also, Somebody Put Something in My Drink, originally by the Ramones, great cover. They also cover Mass Hypnosis by Sepultura, Don't Stop at the Top by the Scorpions, and that's interesting because Savage Amusement is one of my favorite Scorpions albums, and I'm glad to see they're not covering one of those, you know, typically cliched Scorpions songs. I love the original by Scorpions, and this cover version is really good. They also do a cover of Silent Scream by Slayer. Now, this may surprise some people, but probably my favorite cover on this album is track 7, which is She Is Beautiful. That was originally recorded by Andrew WK, and I think, was that on the American Pie soundtrack or something? But I heard this cover before the original, but it's just like a really fun, catchy song. Like, it's got a kind of punk pop feel, but with those Children of Bodom backing vocals and everything. It's just so fun, and you know, the na 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 na, those backing vocals, it's awesome. So I think because it just stands out the most, and that's the most original, I love that cover. Also, Bed of Nails by Alice Cooper, they cover that, which is brilliant. Helion by Wasp, Aces High by Iron Maiden. Yeah, all these great covers they're doing here. Rebel Yell, that song, you know, by Billy Idol, yes, that's been covered by a lot of bands. This one's quite good. I just think it's been a bit overdone, but still, I can see why, because it's a good song. Yeah, Talk Dirty to Me, the cover they do by Poison, it's okay. Yeah, but not one of my favorites. But yeah, there's just so many great covers on this album. So probably my favorites would be, just to recap, the ones by originally done by Sepultura, Scorpions, Slayer, Andrew WK, Alice Cooper, Wasp, Iron Maiden. So absolutely brilliant. Just show you the CD there, and you see here each of the members of the band is dressed up as a member of one of the bands they're covering. You know, so you have Alexi here dressed like Alice Cooper. Yeah, and oh yeah, that's what's interesting. They also include like some liner notes about why they chose these songs and why they were influential. Oh, there's Rupe. Oh yes, that's right, in the cover of Talk Dirty to Me by Poison, it's funny because Alexi says, Rupala, pick up that guitar and talk to me, instead of CC. I like that bit, so yeah. But anyway, really fun covers album. The original songs are really good, and these cover versions are great. I'm a massive fan of Children of Bodom, so yeah, it's an obvious choice why this is going to be a great album for me. So that's Children of Bodom with Skeletons in the Closet. Okay, 2 more albums to talk about, and now we're doing a slight shift in style. We're going to talk about some punk. So first of all, I picked up The Exploited with Let's Start a War. Now, the full title of this album, as you can see here, is Let's Start a War, Said Maggie One Day. So that is obviously a political reference to Margaret Thatcher starting the Falklands War. Obviously, The Exploited, if you're familiar with them, they've always been a very big sort of anti-establishment band, you know, like anti-government and anti-British royalty and everything like that. But yeah, I've always been a fan of this band's music. They're just awesome, and it's quite funny, like I owned Punk's Not Dead, one of their most influential ones, for a long time. Recently I picked up The Massacre, that was a few months ago, and I got this one. It's fantastic. So yes, it's very sort of raw, fast punk, but then like with that other album I picked up, The Massacre, it's sort of starting to bridge into thrash metal. So it's like punk thrash or punk thrash crossover. And like, you know, often you see the singer, Mohawk singer Waddy going, when he's singing, it's because it's got that real crunch to the riffs. It's just awesome. You know, like he's holding the microphone, like getting into it. Yeah, it's really good. So yeah, this album is fantastic. The riffs are melodic enough, but it's still, you know, down and dirty and raw, and like it's got that kind of aggression, and also those classic shouty vocals by Waddy, and the football hooligan backing vocals by the rest of the band. If you love punk, this is just awesome, and I would say this is my favorite punk band of all time. So what do you think of that? Yeah. So all tracks on this are great, but probably my favorites would be track 1, which is Let's Start a War, Said Maggie One Day. It's just harsh and abrasive, a great call to battle. Also track 3, Safe Below, that is just like got some rocking riffs and a great guitar solo. And you can see, this is going to sound strange, but that song probably influenced the likes of Green Day, even though I've never really been a fan of Green Day per se, it's more like a watered down poppy version of punk music, but the riffing style in that song, you can see how it influenced it. But this particular, exploited delivery of that song, Safe Below, it's just fantastic. Much rawer as well. Also track 6, Rival Leaders. Now that's just got a great catchy fast riff and a memorable chorus, which is 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, here we go. It might not sound so convincing when I say it, but with the music, coupled with the music, it's brilliant. Also track 7, God Saved, not God Save the Queen, but God Saved the Queen. That's got a great mid-paced marching riff driven by the bass, but brilliant guitar melodies over the top. And it also reminds me a bit of that other exploited song called Daily News. So yeah, just like sort of marching crunch to that song, which is great. Also track 8, Psycho, which is fast and upbeat, and it's got incredibly catchy and shouty chorus. Psycho, 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 da, da, da. Yeah, just really easy to get into. Also track 12, which is entitled Wankers. So that's got a similar riff to God Save the Queen, actually, but it's a bit faster, and again, nice shouty football hooligan backing vocals in that song and the chorus, and a shredding guitar solo and crunchy bass line. And yes, Sing Along a Bushel is a funny song, like attacking the journalist Gary Bushel, who said punk was dead, and they said, Gary Bushel said punk was dead, he really must be off his head, wanker. So yeah, and then they finished with a cover of Rival Leaders, the EP version. But yeah, just fast, abrasive, catchy punk. This is just brilliant, and this once again affirms why this is my favorite punk band. So got a quick biography of the band, yeah, and there's just the disc, and yeah, nice iconic cover art. So brilliant stuff, exploited with Let's Start a War, said Maggie one day. Okay, now, almost done. Okay, on the topic of punk, I also picked up an album by a band which I had always meant to listen to, but I never got around to it, so I finally did when I saw this. So, who I'm talking about is The Clash. So this is The Clash with the singles. So The Clash are considered one of the most influential punk bands, UK punk bands, that started the whole sound, along with Sex Pistols, basically. So Sex Pistols and The Clash were probably the two most influential punk bands to come out of the UK. Now, what's interesting about this band is, yes, they started out as raw punk, but then their sound evolved into various different styles, like sometimes rock or reggae, or even elements of pop, but or ska maybe, but they still retain that punk element. But I just like when bands' sounds evolve a bit, it keeps it interesting. Now, some of the songs went in too much of a poppy direction, like there's that song Hitsville UK, it's very poppy, still catchy enough, but I like, yeah, maybe it's straying a bit too much towards pop territory for me. But anyway, yeah, you've got 18 tracks on here, most of them are really good, yeah, just Hitsville UK is probably the only one I don't like, so you know what songs the singles are probably. They've got all the lyrics in here, and the CD. Yeah, but it was just interesting for me to discover such an old band so late. But some of my favorite tracks on this, I would say, would be track 4, which is Clash City Rockers, just so catchy, that's a great song. Also track 5, which is White Man in Hammersmith, that has a kind of reggae vibe, which is what, when they're mixing with ska and reggae, which is interesting. Also, track 8, I Fought the Law, that song was that originally by Elvis, but Dead Kennedys also covered it. I just love that song, really good. Also, track 10, which is called Train in Vain, that's got a kind of feel-good vibe, that song, I would say. It's just like a fun song to listen to. Also, track 12, The Call Up, that's kind of, yeah, with some of their later songs, they have a kind of ambient quality where it's background music, but like The Call Up, that's what it sounds like. But I like the chant in that, 1, 2, up 2, 3, 4, I love Marine Corps, it makes it like a catchy song. Also, track 14, The Magnificent Seven, now that song is incorporating a bit of funk, so it's funky and catchy, and it has a good bass line, and it's got these kind of happy sounding reggae vocals, but it works, honestly. And then, what else? Yeah, it reminds me a little bit of lounge bar music, actually, but in a good way. And then, of course, my other favorite track is track 17, Rock the Casbah, which is one of their most famous ones. Track 18, the last track on the album, is Should I Stay or Should I Go, which is sort of the bridge to when, what was the guitarist's name? Brian Jones, when he formed that other band, BAD, Big Audio Dynamite. They sort of picked up where that left off. Now, Big Audio Dynamite, I did like their stuff, apart from the cheesy rapping vocals and the so-called comedy samples, but like the parts which, you know, feature guitars and Brian's singing, they were really good. So anyway, really good album, just fun, catchy punk music, but also blending with other styles and evolving, so I found that really interesting. Yeah, so a nice new discovery for me. That's the Clash with the singles. Okay, so that's it for this update, guys. So some of you are probably thinking, oh, I would like to hear reviews of more extreme albums. Well, in the next video, I'm going to be talking about some CDs which I picked up at Steelfest. So that's all going to be black metal, 6 albums. So I just wanted to clear this backlog for now, but the next video will be finished black metal. That's what I'm going to be talking about. So thanks for your patience. By the way, I wanted to say that during the time I was traveling, I haven't had time to watch people's videos, so I apologize for that. I'll try and catch up and get into the swing of it again. And I've seen some interesting threads as well, so I might join some of those if there's still time. But thanks for your patience with me, and I hope you continue to watch. I really appreciate your support of the channel. And yeah, that's all I have to say. So thanks for your support, thanks for watching, and I'll talk to you soon. Cheers.